Joining me now is Brandon Judd. He is the president of the National Border Patrol Union. Mark Kerkorian, executive director of the Center for Immigration Studies, and Saman Nasseri, an immigration attorney and activist. Brandon, I want to start with you. You were part of that White House meeting that ended with the authorization of force along the border. Is this all an invented threat at the border, in your estimation, as many in the media are now saying?
No, absolutely not. All you have to do is look at the number of people that are gathering in Tijuana that are waiting to come across the border, and these threats that they're going to storm our ports of entry are obvious. It's an obvious sign that they do not care about our laws, that they're going to do what they need to do for their own benefit instead of doing it in a legal manner. Again, if you look, when I was in that meeting, what I saw an unwavering determination to secure the borders for the American public, for the safety of the American public. And we appreciate that, and we appreciate that determination that the president has.
Saman, your reaction. I mean, look, this is the head of the border union. He knows what's going on there, given what his members are feeding back to him. Your reaction.
And I think the conversation shouldn't be so much about the caravan, but I think the caravan sheds light more on the fact that our immigration system is truly broken. The fact that this is what's considered a real threat is 5,000 people coming to the border seeking asylum. Why is that? Why are they the issue? Why isn't the system the issue? Because these people haven't stampeded. They haven't rushed the border. They're not carrying weapons with them. No one has seen them try to hurt anybody. So why are we making the people escaping their problems the issue? Why aren't we trying to criticize the actual immigration system and fix that problem?
Well, let's hold it there a minute, Saman. I mean, there are abuses of the asylum system going on. Asylum is when you're under persecution, not just because I'd like a better job in a nicer neighborhood, right? Mark Kerkorian, your reaction.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, I'd say that the broader system is the problem, and the system is we have asylum rules that incentivize people to make these bogus asylum claims, to essentially use asylum as a strategy for illegal immigration, because none of these people has any realistic expectation of actually getting political asylum at the end of the day. They're doing this to apply for asylum as a way of getting past the border, and then they're home free. This has been going on since the Obama administration really kind of incentivized it, and, you know, we're still dealing with the fallout from it. That's why we have this caravan, and that's why there are other caravans behind them that are trying to do the same thing.
I want to roll this tape. This is Kirstjen Nielsen, the Homeland Security Chief, along the border. Listen.
The reality is that there are currently over 6,200 individuals camped out south of the U.S. border in Tijuana today as I stand here. In Mexicali, there are more than 3,000 caravan members. These two groups, combined with other caravans making their way through the Northern Triangle in Mexico, will result in approximately 8,000 to 10,000 migrants amassing along our southern border. The crisis is real, and it is just on the other side of this wall.
Your reaction. I want to go to Brandon Judd.
Well, again, if you look at this, this is not about legal immigration. This is about illegal immigration. If those people are not, they're not going to wait until they go through the ports of entry. They're going to cross the border illegally, and the first act that they're going to make when they come to the United States is an illegal act. That should make everybody a little bit concerned about what the motives are.
What about the criminal element here that's being reported? They claim they have 500 criminals as part of these caravans. Saman, does that mean nothing to you? We should just open up, let these people in, let them come in under the asylum laws?
No, and I think that's the wrong characterization of the argument. And I don't think these people aren't coming to the port of entry and crossing illegally.
Saman. It's not a characterization at all.
It is. It's a characterization because there's no proof. There's no evidence of that
right now. This is what they're saying.
There's no evidence of that.
Oh, so
Department of Homeland Security has issued a memo. No, the Department of Homeland Security has already issued a memo saying, hey, we need to work with Mexico to try to vet these people in Mexico, keep them in Mexico, go through the asylum process there, and then take it on a case-by-case basis and see who qualifies, see who doesn't, and pass them through the port of entry. There's absolutely no evidence or no proof that these guys are going to show up to the port of entry, bum rush the border and run through and become quote-unquote illegal immigrants. They're coming to the border seeking asylum. And it's unfair to say that all of them don't have a plausible case, because some of them really do probably have a very plausible case. And unfortunately, they get washed up with the ones that are just coming here because they want a better job. But the truth is, there are a handful of them, a good few dozen, I would say even a few hundred of them, that have a good case, that are living in bad conditions, that have seen people get murdered, that have had family members get murdered. I see them. I turn away dozens of people from my office who I say, I can't help, you don't have a good case. But every once in a while, someone in this situation comes in and has a good case.
There's no doubt the asylum laws need to be revisited, but perhaps we've not been looking at them in the right way. And I think, you know, we can't just have my father waited a year in line before he even had his papers recognized. Then he came into the country with a sponsor. Then he served in the military before becoming a citizen. There has to be an orderly process. Thank you, gentlemen, all for your contributions. Here now to explore whether the president has the constitutional authority to use U.S. troops to protect the border and on American soil, the border agents. We're joined by Donald Bramer. He's a former intelligence officer, an Iraq veteran, and Joel Rubin, former Obama Deputy Secretary of State. Joel, I want to start with you. You believe the president was wrong to send the troops to the border because of the unclear mission. But isn't protecting the southern border and enforcing standing immigration laws mission enough?
Well, Ray, there is no mission. There's no military mission here. There's no clarity about the end point, what the objectives will be for these soldiers. And really, even if there's a technical ability of the president to send the troops there, it's a bad judgment. And this president has a habit of using our troops as political props, and that was the intent for this prior to the midterm elections, to turn out the vote. And really, these troops are doing nothing there. They're sitting, they're waiting, they're doing support. We have civilian enforcement that can do the job. We don't need to have our troops at the border.
Donald, are you concerned about this so-called human stampede that has been threatened? Is that a reality? And is that similar to what we saw in the summer when the border was under such pressure?
Well, this stampede, if you will, is a very real reality. And a lot of these folks that are coming to our border are known criminals, and we've already found cases of weapons among them. And you know, even in Tijuana, they're talking about disorderly conduct, drunkenness. These are not the type of people that we want in the United States. You know, I applaud the president. Maybe all of his tactics aren't always the best, but we have a right to protect our borders.
Donald, I want to play something for you. And Joel, this is Senator Kamala Harris. She said this the other day. I want to get your reaction.
These folks who are being deployed there, they're going to leave. They've left their families. They will not be home, looks like, for Thanksgiving. And all because there needed to be some demonstration for the TV cameras based on a political agenda instead of what is a national security threat.
Donald, does the president have the authority to deploy troops in this way? There is that act, that Passe Comitatus Act, that forbids using the military to enforce domestic law. Does that apply here?
Well, these soldiers and forces, they're not law enforcement officials, but he does have the right to deploy them because it is his right as commander-in-chief to support this country, whether it's in humanitarian aid or supporting our borders. And this is something that's, you know, been precedent before. You know, President Nixon did it, President Reagan did it, President Bush did it, and President Obama did it. It's been done before. It's his right, and he has to protect this country.
Joel, your reaction?
Well, I really believe that we could find the $100 million that we spent on sending the troops there, better uses for that money. We could be sending it to the countries to help stabilize them so people don't leave.
You don't believe there's a national security threat, Joel?
I believe that our civilian agents from DHS are capable of handling this, and I don't believe that we need to have troops at the border now being authorized to shoot at a caravan of individuals who, there are some unruly ones, but by and large, the overwhelming majority are women and children waiting in camps to go through an asylum process.
Well, it's not all women and children, or you wouldn't have the 34 arrests, coke possession. No, you've got people with coke possession. They're carrying weapons. They're being arrested now by the Tijuana government.
And the civilian police can handle that as they should. And the orderly process, or the process that is in place, is working, and it should work. We don't need to have military troops there to enforce the process that is already being executed properly.
Donald, your thoughts? Do we need those troops or not? Or is Trump just playing fast and loose here?
No, I do think we need the troops. You know, right now, CBP is 80% undermanned right now. And if only for a short period, if these troops can support them to do the logistic things so that the CBP officers can do their job, then that's important. You know, if they're observing and they're providing support, then let them do their jobs so that CBP can actually perform what they're hired to do.
Gentlemen, I'll give each of you a shot at this. Should the president close the border down, does he have the authority to do so? Donald, you first, then Joel, very quickly, 10 seconds each.
Whether or not he should or should not, that remains a question as we look forward to the caravan as it moves forward. Does he have the authority? Absolutely. It's his right to defend this country, to defend our borders, and to protect the United States citizens.
Yeah, Joel, if he believes there is a national security threat, clearly he can close down the border.
National security threat should always be dealt with, but it's an American value to allow people seeking asylum to come here to this country. We need to keep that border open for those people.
Well, we let 1 million people in a year as citizens. I think that shows the welcoming spirit of America. Thank you, gentlemen.